Hello everyone and welcome finally to F1 Manager 24. Yes, today we are going to be kickstarting our real My Team career mode inside this title. First of all, I just want to say a massive thank you to the team over at F1 Manager 24 for providing me with early access to the game. We're allowed to record a few videos over the next few days, so if you are enjoying this series, obviously once we dive into it, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed. If you're watching this on the main channel though, I cannot stress this enough, F1 Manager 24 has a new home here on YouTube this year. We are going to be using my Matt212 Plays channel to hopefully allow us to do more videos from this game and more streams down the line as well. So yeah, if you're watching this on the, sort of normal Matt212 YouTube channel, there'll be a link at top of the description below. You can head over to Matt212 Plays, and that is going to be where the majority of this game is going to be happening this year. It allows us, like I said, to make more videos and also do some of, the more fun challenges as well. I want to go into some of the race replays and some of all the other scenarios as well inside F1 Manager 24. We're also, at the time of recording this, mighty close to 1,500 subs over there, so hopefully we can smash through that as well. But yeah, obviously I did a video a couple of weeks ago where we really sort of did a massive deep dive. I think it was like an hour and 10 minutes of basically just going through all the setup inside F1 Manager 24, all of the new things. So yeah, if you want to sort of have that even more in-depth POV ready for this first episode, go back, check that video out. We're not going to be flying through things today. We're not going to be skipping over too much, hopefully. But yeah, obviously it won't quite be as in-depth as we did in that video. And of course, obviously, you can still pre-order F1 Manager 24 at the moment. I believe the Ultimate Edition of the game is less than £40.
Formula One. A new season and a new dawn as a brand new team lines up on the grid. That means an even harder challenge to secure that coveted championship silverware, as the on-track action is turned right up to 11. We're ready for excitement ahead as the teams return to the drawing board in the battle to end Red Bull's dominance. They'll need to balance their aspirations for high performance with the risk of pushing too far and inviting catastrophic failures out on the track. With many drivers on the last year of their contracts, team principals will need to ensure that they're kept in the right mindset across the whole season, as well as managing sponsor demands and protecting their most valuable assets from the prying eyes of their rivals. As a new competitor enters the fray, anything is possible. This is Formula One.
Well, I've got to admit, F1 Manager, they do some pretty cool kind of like hype intros ready for these games as well. I do like the fact, obviously, they use IRL footage. Now, obviously, we're going to be 212 Motorsports. We've had many a Formula One team. We've even had a rally team and a few other bits and pieces as well. But this is immediately where things get a little bit interesting then. Of course, we've got all of the various scenarios as well there. Now, I'll be honest, obviously, all of these are pretty cool. They give you different strengths, different weaknesses. For example, obviously, that one, you've actually got a rapid car, but next to no money to try and get it off of the ground. That one is, you got really good facilities, and then obviously a couple of others as well. I mean, that one's just nuts. You've already got basically a championship-winning team there, but we're going to stick with number one. We kind of want to control our own destiny completely inside this game. Like I said, I'm in this one for the long haul, so, hopefully that'll give us a whole lot more to kind of decide. In terms of starting balance, I feel like, well, you can't do 10 million. It's either, we'll go with $2 million is not much to start a Formula 1 team. We'll go with 5 million. I also obviously want our facilities and car performance to be slightly worse. Obviously, just to kind of give us that extra push. Like I do with the My Team career modes on the F1 game as well. We don't start with a midfielder team. We start with a back marker. That way, it's a bit more rewarding when we do inevitably get to the front. Or obviously, we get a really good weekend as well, where we're able to deliver. Now, it looks like pretty much everything. We'll put everything down to level 2, I guess. So actually, we're doing everything on level 1 currently. So that's, yeah, we'll put everything on level 2, actually, I think, ready for the start of the game. Just so we've got, a decent kind of setup there, apart from the car test facility. Staff facilities to 0 and 1 there apparently. We've got no other levels to do anything with that. So, yeah, I think we're kind of putting all our eggs in making sure that we've, got a decent base to set up the team. Now, this is the thing I absolutely love. Obviously, you actually get to kind of shuffle around. You can even do a randomizer to kind of decide your driver lineups and everything like that. I mean, Hamilton and Jack Crawford seems optimistic, if you ask me. So we'll keep scrolling through those. Verstappen and Zhou Guanyu, I mean, these are just quite funny. Jack Crawford and Logan Sargent. How on earth Crawford is the #1 driver and all of that? I'm not quite sure. But same, we'll keep scrolling through, see if it gives us any decent ones. Pietro Fittipaldi and Zach O'Sullivan. Zach O'Sullivan, I only found out recently, is actually a local lad to me. So I'm tempted to lob him in the team purely for that. Don't know who else we could obviously kind of lob in. We could get, like, a Sonoda or an Albon or a Ricardo. I don't really want Stroll in the team. You know what? I think what we're going to do, we're going to poach... Should we poach Yuki Tsunoda? We're trying to fight for his seat in the driver career mode at the moment because he's down at Ferrari. He's clearly not getting the call up to Red Bull, despite the fact he's doing really well. So I think we're going to put him in car #1. Car #2, for some reason we can't seem to find the... Oh, there we go. We got Formula 2 drivers. Is there any, like, juniors that I could be really tempted to sign? We've got Lawson. We've got Teo Pourchaire. I've put Teo Pourchaire in quite a few teams in recent years. I've never put Liam Lawson, though, in a team. Well, I am slightly concerned that I'm basically just becoming, a Red Bull C team, if you will. But you know what? We're gonna do it. We're gonna do what Red Bull can. We're gonna promote Yuki into kind of a #1 team there. Liam Lawson is gonna be our #2 driver. So we've got all of the Red Bull juniors. Apparently now within our organisation. In terms of everybody else, though, I mean, we got Enrico Cardile. Obviously, he's announced, I think, a move to Aston Martin, isn't it? In the very near future. Jared Murphy from Mercedes and Sven Smets from a team that I don't recognise, to be completely honest. And then we got Pedro Matos and Carlo Cristofori there, who are not real people, as far as I am aware. In terms of power unit, then, obviously, we normally go Renault in these games, just because it's kind of like the realistic one. Obviously, we've got 2 ex-Red Bull back drivers now, I guess. So we could go with them, but I think we'll go with Renault. It's pretty bad. Their fuel efficiency is good, which I guess is nice. But their power is not great. Their engine durability is not fantastic. None of the durabilities are particularly fantastic, but it doesn't go through fuel particularly badly as well there. Now, I believe we have actually got some preset liveries inside this game, which is pretty cool. I don't know if we've got like any content creator ones or anything like that. But obviously we kind of want like an orange livery. That one looks pretty cool, actually. I must say, that actually looks really cool. We might go with that one for the start of this game. There's a few others, though. We got actually... Ooh, hello. Hello. Oh, my. Do we roll a Golf Formula 1 car? I don't think there's any more that I'm seeing that I prefer over that. They've done other people a livery. How harsh is that? They got Ben's livery. They've got... I know who he is, the French guy. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Jarno's got a livery. Tom's got a livery. P1 have got a livery. I think Arav's got a livery as well. I don't know who that is. I haven't got a livery, though. How sad is that? F1 Manager, that is disappointing. They have not given me a livery inside this game. So you know what? We're going to stick with the Golf one then. Well, we've gone through then, we have set up our logo, we have done everything else we need to, including confirming our details inside the game. Obviously, I played the F1 Manager titles before, so we have set ourselves up as an experienced manager. If F1 Manager 24 is your first game, though, in the franchise, yeah, make sure you set it up to first-time manager then, and we are going to confirm all of our details then. 212 Motorsports is back, and it's finally ready to take on the F1 Manager world there. Look at our rivals. Look at our logo. It is beautiful. Ignore the fact that, and I'm going to point this out because I know it'll bother you as much as it bothers me, you can't quite get the spacing even on either side of the one, which is rather frustrating. It might be the world's most basic logo as well, but yeah, that really, really does bug me early on inside this game. But yeah, let's take a look around then. Obviously, we've got a bit more setup to do ready for this first round. Obviously, the board are very excited to have us. Have we got any money, basically, is what we want to do to some upgrades upgrades on the car, obviously, before we get into this first round. Obviously, we need to try and upgrade some facilities as best as possible. So I think immediately what we're going to do then is build up our team hub. Obviously, a lot of the emphasis this year's game is going to be, you know, about trying to obviously make sure you're making wise financial decisions further down the line. But ultimately, I think, you know, we've just got to spend money early on inside the game there. So we're going to try and make sure that we've got everything built within the team then. So obviously we can start upgrading those facilities as soon as possible. In terms of other parts, though, I guess we could try and... Oh, no, we haven't got enough money. Can we upgrade anything? I don't think we got enough money to upgrade anything else. Kind of within, you know, the car development side of the team. The race simulator we can do, though. So that'll leave us with just over $1 million in the back pocket still. And immediately, yeah, getting a few little bits and pieces on the board there. We are currently 280 rated as an underdog, and have taken a look obviously at our finances. You have actually got to be careful with the cost cap as well over the course of your first season as well there. So let's have a look at any of the roster moves then, obviously, because we have snatched away you know, obviously Sonoda from VCarb. Albon stayed where he is. Sonoda's there still, so it has been... No one has gone to that VCarb team, which is a little bit weird. I don't know if we can see anything else kind of different. Obviously, it's quite cool that you kind of get to watch what some of the junior teams are doing as well there, and obviously F3 as well. So we'll try and keep an eye out on obviously what's going on with all of those over the course of the season as well. But can we do any immediate upgrades to the car? If we have a look at the effectiveness, currently low speed is where we are really bad, apparently. So let's take a look at what we're going to be able to do there. So car parts development. I like to go with a system of where we just try and do big upgrades on the car. There's no point trying to chuck like 6 tiny upgrades on. You basically make no progress, I found, in previous years. So we're basically going to try and just do big upgrades on this game. And obviously we know how important the underfloor is inside F1 Manager. So we are immediately going to throw everything we've possibly got at trying to get all of this done. Now, I do believe, though, actually you need to try and do 2 upgrades rather than 1, otherwise you can't use all of your engineers. And if there's one thing I like on this game, it's trying to be productive there. 11% drag reduction is pretty intense. So we're going to focus that mainly, though, on the low-speed cornering. So it's going to slightly reduce the drag reduction capabilities of the car. But yeah, obviously I think it's going to be worth it, as that seems to be where we are at our weakest. So obviously we've got 10 engineers, so we're going to use 5 for this. It reckons it's going to take 24 days, so we'll get that all on the car ready for Jeddah out in round 2 of the year. And of course, alongside that then, we will do a chassis upgrade, I suppose. So we'll use everything else that we possibly got. Obviously, we have only got a couple of weeks before the next ATR period as well. So it makes sense to obviously go through and use all of these as well there. Engine cooling, we need to put a little bit more focus on that by the looks of things, because we're struggling ever so slightly in that regard. And again, we'll use all of our other engineers, and that should again take a couple of weeks. And I haven't got enough money. Wonderful. How do I save money on this? Is there any possible way I can save money by doing this? Apparently I can't. It's a little bit odd. So we haven't got enough money to do that at the moment. It's going to leave us with minus $1 million. So we probably should have used everything we possibly could on that other one. Immediately, I'm starting to make mistakes inside this game. Of course, once you guys have had access, just tell me what I'm doing wrong, please. It'd be greatly appreciated, because I can be a little bit of a bottle job in these games as well. Then, last but not least, though, we need to head to the, I believe it's a sponsor board, but inside the calendar. Because obviously we need to try and get a couple of sponsors on board, which will hopefully provide us with some extra funds as well inside the game. I don't know why this seems to be taking so long. There we go. Facility helipad has been complete. And is there anything else we need to make sure that obviously we've got sorted before round 1? There we go. Sponsor negotiations. This is what I was looking for inside the game. So obviously this is now really important inside the game. Obviously you get to pick your sponsors and obviously what they're going to provide over the course of the year. So Abros AppTRD, and Ferro Energy. Interesting options. I think we'll go... I mean, who's providing us with the most money? Appros are. So 17 million just shy. They're prepared to pump into the team, but they do want quite a lot of engagement. Actually, they don't want much of anything. They really don't want anything at all there. That is the deal of the century. So we'll stick with them. We'll try and pick up some... Is there anyone that obviously you can provide us with? Basically what you're looking for early on in the game is that with the mandatory activities, they don't really take anything away from you, but they do provide you with some funding as well there. So they do that. I believe they sadly don't do that, but they do provide more potential funding a bit down the line. So we will get those confirmed then, and immediately we've got way more funding coming into the team. And I believe, yeah, we should be able to pile on a few more upgrades as well there. So, can we provide... we can't put any more upgrades on the livery at the moment, which is a bit of a shame. But say we'll stick with what we've got. So we've now got $18 million. So that's going to provide us with a load of money that we can try and apply as well. We obviously want to make sure that we get that upgrade on the car done first. And then obviously we will go and spend the rest of that as well there. So we'll go back in. We'll try and do our chassis upgrade once again there. Obviously, like we said, you know, we're just going to max out everything we possibly got still. And we'll put slight emphasis on engine cooling. Otherwise, it's going to, be somehow worse than where we started as well there. Our last 5 engineers are going on. That one, though, I think will sadly only be ready for round 3 of the year. Obviously, in Albert Park down under. So 17 million still yet to spend. Yes, I do feel like a kid at a candy store. I've been given some pennies, and I'm immediately going to try and spend them as well there. So in terms of what we want to do, I think car development is going to be really, really important early on. So I think we're going to try and do... How much is a wind tunnel upgrade? $12 million. It's a huge spend early on in this game, but I think it is going to be worthwhile a bit further down the line. Sadly, we don't have enough to upgrade the car parts center as well there, and I don't think we're really going to be able to do anything else. Maybe we can upgrade the scouting department. We'll do that as well. Just so obviously we can try and obviously hire some juniors a bit further down the line. So obviously we have got obviously a scouting center, so we can try and obviously get some junior drivers into the game as well. So obviously you get a bit of a look, obviously who's where, who's doing what, and obviously you get some of these NPCs as well that generally aren't very good. But I don't believe there's anything else we need to do then before we head into the first round of the season, apart from obviously sort out our sponsor plan as well there. So obviously we need to try and get up to 2,344. So basically you want to try and get to those, but also do the bare minimum that you possibly can. So there we go. A factory race day experience and a wind tunnel advert will hopefully fix that right up. And I think, yeah, so we're aiming for 6th or above in the overall objectives for this season. I don't quite know whether we're going to be able to do that, obviously, before then. Just because I think, yeah, as we get those upgrades into the car, obviously this first episode, yeah, like I said, is really, really chatty. But there we go, Tour Center and Boardroom have been completed. I think we need to have a look on the calendar as well. And I believe after round 1, we'll be able to start adding in a few other things as well. But there we go. I think we're ready. I think we're ready for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Obviously, we've got some information on the strategy. It's a power circuit, and our car isn't well suited to its low medium speed downforce performance. We're predicting the best strategy for the race will be a 2-stop. 75% chance of a safety car. How does the car look in terms of overall performance as we head into this first round of the year? We're pretty towards the rear of the field. And yeah, obviously the second car is ever so slightly worse. We are better than apparently a couple of teams though, so hopefully we can have a fight on our hand. And maybe as we head into qualifying, we can try and get ourselves into Q2. Race targets, immediately I'm just going to set the bar really low for the opening round of the year. So we're going to say P19 for Yuki and P21 for Liam. Just because I'd rather claim some easy cash than worry about messing it up.
F1 is back, ladies and gentlemen, and the grid is set to grow. A new season is upon us as Formula One returns to the Middle East, ready to kick things off here in Bahrain. But change is afoot. The paddock has grown, the grid extended. Yes, that's right. 11 teams, 22 drivers, and the hottest competition motorsport has to offer. Well, there's a newcomer in the RB seat this weekend, an opportunity for them to see what they can do with the car. Let's see what the weekend has in store.
Well, here we go then. Back down on the track then here in Bahrain. Can we have a look at, sort of who VCarb have actually hired? I can't still seem to find the option for it. But yeah, I'm just very intrigued to know, obviously, whether they've hired a junior. Because, of course, you would have thought with Yuki leaving, they would have gone straight to Liam Lawson. We've poached Liam Lawson as well. So there isn't really a lot that they can do about that at the moment. So, I mean, we can technically swap them out. We've got 2 affiliate drivers as well there that are both NPCs. But obviously, yeah, first weekend of the year, we just want to make sure that obviously we get up to speed and everything like that. Of course, you can simulate straight to qualifying on the race, but I normally do free practice 1. Make sure I basically get the setup defined roughly where we want it, and then obviously we'll head out into the rest of the weekend there. We do kind of try and obviously fly through free practice a little bit, but yeah, obviously I want to try and make sure that I'm happy with the setup we've got with the car. So we'll try some alternate bits for each of the drivers, kind of see if we can work out where they're happy, and obviously then kind of work our way from there. So as we make our way then out onto the circuit, are we going to be the first cars on track? We need to actually take a look. So Kushmaini is in the Alpine. I believe that's Isaac Hadjar in the Red Bull. VCarb, have they actually hired a Wasser? Is he like a full-time driver for them? Let's have a look. Can't seem to find anything on anybody else, which is a little bit annoying. So, Ollie Behrman is down at Ferrari. It is Hadjar in the Red Bull alongside Max. Kushmaini in the Alpine. Of course, this might just be for free practice 1. I do think, though, maybe they put a Wasser into the VCarb team as well. There's Jack Crawford down at Aston Martin as well. So, yeah, I think maybe they have actually hired a Yumo Wasser for that team as well. There is Russell and Hamilton are going to be the first ones out onto the road. We should have probably done this development, the reconfiguring of the setup before free practice. Would have probably been ideal, to be completely honest. But we are going to send both drivers out there. Look at that car. It looks glorious inside this game. So apparently we don't get any voice from Matos then. So apparently the cars have already gone out. We're just not looking at either of them at the moment. Look at that. It's a shame about kind of some of the sponsors on it, but it does look pretty cool. And yeah, Yuki Tsunoda, obviously a 2-time Monaco Grand Prix winner inside the normal, it's kind of the the F1 normal games, if you will. But still yet, I think, to ever see him win a race inside F1 Manager. Hopefully this is going to be his year then. But yeah, obviously early on, we're basically just going to allow them obviously to run around, get some data, get some laps on the board, make sure that they are comfortable and happy with the car. I don't read too much into free practice times, to be completely honest, especially obviously when both drivers, are basically just trying to learn the cars, build up confidence, and obviously refine the setups as well. There's plenty to learn inside the first weekend of the year, but I would be quite surprised, yeah, if Lawson can do a better job than Yuki Tsunoda in this first round of the campaign. So yeah, I mean, we'll see if we get any other incidents, things like that, for other drivers over the course of the weekend. I do like to kind of leave this series a bit more chatty, slightly, sort of less edited as well there. Just because I feel like manager games kind of suit that style. I also really want to stream this game quite a lot as well over the coming weeks and months, so that should hopefully be quite good fun as well. But yeah, you can see Tsunoda P17 at the moment, Lawson down in P20, Gasly really struggling in that Alpine car. As you can see, we're basically waiting on them to try and get 5 out of 5 on the feedback. Obviously this game has changed a lot this year. Obviously we've got the new My Team feature and everything like that. But it's still, kind of, in terms of your weekend, you're basically planning out the same way you would. And Lawson is immediately not happy with the car. So yeah, we'll bring him straight in. And I think we will do the same then with Yuki Tsunoda at the end of this lap. So Lawson making his way hopefully back down into the pit lane then. So we'll immediately try and tweak the setup on that car as well there. So maybe we've taken Yuki's setup a bit more in the right direction. Of course, obviously, the first setup you do, you really obviously don't get much of an idea as to kind of what you're looking for. So you kind of got to go through that first stage. So now, obviously, you can really go through and kind of define everything. You can see immediately we're getting a good idea. So we want to try and keep the anti-roll bars pretty neutral. We want to try and make sure that we've got good braking stability. I think we'll go with that then. Actually, we want to try and just lower the ARBs just one more flick. So everything is back in kind of the parameters they should be. So we will send Liam back out there. We will wait for Yuki to come back in, and we'll try and basically adopt him a more similar setup. I believe, though, Yuki actually took his setup in a better direction as well then. So as he's going to peel back into the pit lane, I do always love the fact they drive into the box. It looks so funny, but so ridiculous. As well, there we go. Yuki actually pretty happy with that. It's just traction that he's really struggling with. So we'll make a couple of little tweaks as well. Straight line speed, he feels he's got a bit too much of. But yeah, obviously we need a bit less oversteer and everything like that. So if we go like that, maybe Yuki's going to be happy with the car. Yeah, basically you're aiming for like perfect. So I can't remember. I think it goes bad, good, great, and perfect, I want to say. And that's obviously how you kind of really define the setups inside this game as well. Sonoda, actually, in terms of raw pace, the field seems to spread out way more in this game than we've seen kind of in like the normal F1 titles as well. At least in free practice. I don't quite know sort of how we're going to fare as we move into qualifying. But yeah, this should hopefully kind of be like the last run we get in where the drivers can like properly sort of talk about how they're feeling with the car as well. There, of course, you kind of spend a lot of time on this screen simulating a way through, which, I do quite like. It is a bit more chilled, it is a bit more fun. Like I've said, I've streamed some of this game back on F1 Manager 23. Obviously, we had quite a bit of fun. We didn't manage to get as many races as I wanted to, where we were trying to make Hamilton world champion with Ferrari. But maybe we'll do that as like a stream series inside F1 Manager 24 a little bit further down the line, of course. We're just making videos on this preview version of the game that we have currently got access to as well there. But yeah, time is ticking down then here in FP1. We're still not quite getting as much feedback from the drivers as I was hoping to. Yuki really does seem to be on the back foot early on this weekend, but both of them are pretty even in terms of how confident they're feeling. Learning the car, learning the track, everything like that. First round of the year, it can be quite difficult, especially, as we have got a junior driver in the team as well. Hopefully Lawson is going to provide feedback. There we go. He's happy. So that's good. Then we'll bring him back in. And yeah, we'll let Yuki just kind of play it out until the end. So obviously he can make sure that he's fully happy and ready to provide us with the feedback that he wants to. How is Lawson looking then in terms of the overall performance? Let's take a look on that car. Every second counts inside F1 Manager, and that's pretty good. We're slightly down on straight line speed where we would want. Optimal, though, is the perfect score. So we'll try and make a couple of extra tweaks. Obviously, it's a really, really fine balance. Obviously, you don't want to sacrifice everything you've kind of built up already over the session. So if we go like this, yeah, it's so difficult to try and find that balance. Braking stability, I believe, if we go like that, we're actually really good for the most part then. So I think if we make those tweaks, we should be pretty good. There's a lot of me kind of just sat here trying to basically just move dials around slightly. We'll try and obviously keep that one on ultimate. I think we're pretty good then at the moment. We're looking pretty balanced over the course of the entire setup. Hopefully Yuki will be able to provide us with similar feedback in just a moment before the session ends. No, he's not. That's a bit of a shame. So we actually needed to give... So Sonoda, for future reference, then we need to give him longer run plans than Liam Lawson. He's slightly less adaptable, clearly, in picking up and working out the setup. That being said, though, he is very happy with the setup we've got underneath him. So driver prep, he's up to 55%. I think we might just try and make a couple of minor tweaks, just to make sure, obviously, we get the car, where both drivers are happy with it. So if we go like that, maybe? No, we obviously want to try and make sure, this track is so traction-based that we do want to try and make sure the drivers are happy with that. There we go. If we go... what am I doing? We wanted one flick down that way, didn't we? And then if we go like that, I think if we run like that, then both drivers are going to be pretty happy with the car. So I guess I'll see you guys in qualifying.
Will practice pay off for the drivers? Well, we're about to find out in qualifying.
Bahrain's track is dusty and abrasive, and even under the floodlights, qualifying is tough on soft tyres. Teams will need to use their tyre allocations wisely.
Charles Leclerc has been a talking point for many of late. Karun, how do you think he's doing so far?
We saw them set an impressive lap time in practice, so it's a great start as they move into qualifying. But as we all know, a good performance in practice doesn't guarantee success over the rest of the weekend.
Here we go, folks. It's time to get started.
Well, here we are then, making our way out into qualifying then, and interestingly, VCarb, despite the fact they put Iwasa in the car for free practice 1, they've actually hired another Japanese driver ready for this season. Ritomo Miyata, of course, raced in, I believe, Super Formula last year as well. You know, he's been very, very unlucky in real-life Formula 2 in 2024. I think he's been mecha-chromed about 5 times so far this year. But yeah, he's been given the call up then. Clearly, VCarb desperate to replace one Japanese driver with another. And maybe, obviously, I think he's Toyota backed. Or it might be, yeah, Toyota Gazoo Racing, isn't it? So maybe we're going to see Toyota form an alliance with Red Bull Powertrains a bit further down the line. We want to take no risk, though, in this opening round of the year. So we're going to try and get both cars out onto a lap pretty early on. We'll ride with Yuki, first of all. Just because I feel like he's probably going to be a little bit quicker. And hopefully he's going to make his way into Q2 pretty much on one run. But yeah, then obviously we'll try and make sure that Lawson can do the same as well in the sister car. It's very, very important here in the opening round of the year that obviously we start as we mean to go on then. So make sure obviously that we've got free track space as well for Yuki around him. I love this new camera angle. It is so, so cool inside F1 Manager 24. So we'll watch then with Tsunoda as he starts a lap here from the Sakir International Circuit. I'm basically just watching to make sure that there are no AI heading out of the pit lane as well. Because, yeah, basically, obviously, it's better than it has been in previous games. But there definitely are still some issues with kind of the AI blocking each other, blue flags, things like that in qualifying runs. It's nowhere near as bad as it was on F1 Manager 22. That game was terrible for it. And, you know, it would basically ruin probably half of your qualifyings when you would just get caught up behind other cars that were very slow there. Miyata immediately goes top of the board, quicker than Hulkenberg, actually. So very, very cool to see by the other Japanese driver. Of course, you know, we are mainly focusing on our team, but we do like to try and sort of take a look around, see what else is going on up and down the order. There is immediately Lando Norris down into a low 1 minute 30 there, putting 2 seconds over Miyata and Hulkenberg there. Alonso not able to get within a second of the McLaren man. So that's actually been a really, really good effort by Lando Norris early on in this game. As you can see, obviously, by, you know, the watermark at the top of the game, you know, car performance, game assets, ratings, they're not final just yet. So I'm sure we will see a little bit of a tweak as Verstappen, I believe, has really been able to utilize us. Sergio Perez has been able to get a nice slipstream from us over the course of this lap as well then. But one more corner to go for our first lap here with Yuki Tsunoda. I don't quite know how Lawson is stacking up in comparison there. We know that Red Bull is definitely going to be going a whole lot quicker as Sergio Perez. I mean, look how much speed he gains up towards the finish line. Tsunoda, though, goes quicker than Miyata. Liam Lawson in the other car is going to go slowest of all after the first run. So, a little bit of a shame there. So, he, I think, is definitely at risk, obviously, of not going through to Q2. Tsunoda might be safe, though, after the first run. Well, getting right towards the end, then, of Q1. Tsunoda is still safe right now, but he is only up in P13. Lawson just in the drop zone, just on that bubble at the moment. It looks like Alpine, Kick Sauber, Haas, and ourselves are likely going to be fighting out towards the rear of the field. And, of course, Logan Sargent as well. We're just trying to make sure that we find some space. We've got both cars now line astern here as we get towards the start of our lap. So Liam Lawson then ready to kickstart things here. I must admit, this car looks so cool as well, though I really am a fan of kind of the fake Golf livery inside this game. As Tsunoda slowly getting bumped down the order as well. So we've kind of also put the drivers in a situation where Sonoda might be able to get a distant slipstream off of his teammate if, Lawson hasn't quite got the ultimate pace. And we might obviously therefore try and just make sure that we bank Yuki to make his way into Q2 there. We'll try and make sure that we monitor split times as well, actually, inside this final run, just to make sure, see how Lawson is stacking up to his teammate there. As Green through Sector 1, 27.5. Sonoda does a 27.3, so just over a tenth up then by the end of the first sector from Yuki. But that's good, of course, obviously, because if Sonoda's improving and Lawson's, a tenth away, we might still be able to get both cars into the second session here. Is, blue flag so much better in this year's game. Weirdly as well, I think the graphics look really good, especially for a management-style game. They're kind of oddly immersive, I find, as well, which is a rather cool kind of thing inside this game there as well. But yes, clock is slowly ticking down then to 0. We haven't got many cars on a run at the moment. Logan Sargent is still the one on the cusp, as Lawson finding more time in Sector 2. 41.3, sorry. He's actually fractionally up on Sonoda then at the end of that second sector, so he's reining back in the time ever so slightly. Hopefully this is going to be a good effort by Lawson and might just see himself up the order as well there. We've still got both kick Saubers though, that I believe are on runs at the moment. Lawson is going to improve, but it's not enough. He goes 17,000 slower than Logan Sargent there, so all eyes now are on Sonoda, who also unable to improve at the end of the run. Are we going to see any other drivers improving though? Magnussen out of the final corner. Nope, he's not on a run. Bottas is definitely not on a run. So Sonoda is definitely through then. Are we going to see Esteban Ocon improve here right towards the end of the opening qualifying session of the year? The lap he's got on the board so far has really not been a good representative here. As out of the final corner, will it be double disappointment for Alpine here to kickstart the year? Ocon up over the line. He will go quicker than his teammate. He is out, though, in Q1, alongside both Saubers, both Alpines, Magnussen and Liam Lawson on debut. And there we go then, taking a look at our Q1 results. Sergio Perez, top of the board, actually quicker than Max Verstappen, so maybe he's going to be able to bring the fight to his teammate early on this year there. Ricardo P11, a very good effort by him. I expect, it's going to be the big 5 teams throughout a lot early on that are going to see themselves into Q3. Miata, though, actually a very, very good time there. 3/10 away from his experienced Australian teammate. Williams, I'm sure, happy to get both cars immediately into Q2. But Sonoda, sorry, I'm hoping, obviously, he can stay quicker than Sargent. Maybe he can fight Albon and Miata as well here. Hulkenberg, 8/10 clear of his teammate at the end of Q1. That is a mighty effort. Well, yeah, really not ideal then for Logan Sargent here as we start Q2. He's 16 seconds off the pace, which is rather impressive. But yeah, Sonoda then heading out then back for his first run. Is the cockpit camera inside this year's game as, disturbing as it was on last year's title? We'll only really find out when we get back down in towards the first corner, because I think this is so cool as an angle, but it is just the motion sickness you get. Oh, it's still bad. Genuinely, makes me dizzy immediately. It's so weird. I can't stand it. As we make our way up the hill, I think it was a 27.3 was his split one time. A 27.38 in Q1. Are we going to see him go quicker than that? 27.40, so pretty much nothing in it by the end of Sector 1 for Yuki. Of course, now where we only have got the one driver out here, we'll obviously kind of just sort of simulate forward through these first runs. Make sure he doesn't get held up in traffic from any other driver as well there. I think it was a 41, like a 41.3 or something in Sector 2. And again, a 41.2. So I think Sonoda, as the track rubbers up, is slightly finding more time. Thank you to that McLaren car as well that jumps out of the way there. As Sargent immediately is going to try and go back out for a second run. And there we go. That's not a bad time, actually. I think that was a 32 flat. That's actually, a really good time there. 32.138 by Sonoda. I'm happy with that there. He's found a bit more time from Q1. He's gone quicker than Miata. Still slower than Hulkenberg, though. Everybody trying to find free track space then towards the end of qualifying. We're still quicker than Miata and Logan Sargent then, which are kind of the two I was always hoping for. I don't believe Sargent has got any tyres left to go for a final run here in Q2. So Hulkenberg currently I think is going to be the next target for us as we make our way back down in towards that first corner. Obviously, we'll try and make sure that we can pair the sector times once again, and hopefully we're going to see Sonoda improve right towards the end of qualifying here. So far, he's done a really, really good job. It's kind of, hopefully he's going to provide some stability, provide some feedback that obviously Lawson as well can take on in the future. As green in Sector 1, another 10th of a second up. This would be really ideal. If we could end up P13 on the grid, unlucky for some, maybe not for us, inside this game there, as we got one of the V-carbs just in front still. I believe that might be, Miata, that is slowly dragging us around the lap as well then. He's 7/10 away so far. He did a really good effort in Q1, but it doesn't seem to have been enough so far in Q2, as Verstappen fastest on the board dips into the 29.4s. They're ahead of Perez. Charles Leclerc still in 3rd place, ahead of both McLarens and his teammate there. Like I said, I think it's going to be, the big 5 teams that make it through into Q3, as Sonoda improving again in Sector 2. He is finding time here on this lap, and hopefully, as we're still going to have that slipstream then, off of Miata down towards the final corner. Hulkenberg unable to improve, so surely they're going to be pretty much on top of the Haas car in terms of delta time at the moment. I'd love to get between him, maybe even go quicker than Alex Albon here, as out of the final corner. Yuki Tsunoda, what is the time going to be? He temporarily drops down to 15th. He goes straight back up into 13th, though. 0.02 of a second away from Alex Albon there at the end of qualifying, as Sargent will go just quicker than Miata as well there. Ricciardo, 0.02 away from Lance Stroll as well, so that could have been a real upset to kickstart the year. But it is your big 5 teams into Q3. Sonoda lines up in P13. Let's get into the race.
Here in Sakir, the floodlights are on, and it's nearly time for 57 laps around the Bahrain International Circuit.
Bahrain has seen some of the most dramatic races in F1, like Sergio Perez's incredible 2020 victory, surging ahead from being last on the opening lap.
Bahrain is known for high tyre degradation, as the asphalt here is so abrasive. The drivers are facing many low to medium speed corners, and any heavy braking will inevitably take its toll on the tyres. Race day has arrived, and the time has almost come for these drivers to fight it out, wheel to wheel.
Well, I don't quite get how every F1 game that's released this year can't work out the fact that Yuki Tsunoda is 5'3" rather than 6 foot. It is still hilarious, but yeah, very, very off-putting when you're seeing kind of, talking down to engineers. And I mean literally, not metaphorically here. One thing I have learnt, though, inside F1 Manager is that tyre compound makes a huge difference. The delta is probably slightly more than you'd actually realise. Probably more than I'd say in real life as well there. So 2 and 3 stops are really, really viable inside this game. We have split the strategy between Sonoda and Liam Lawson ready for this opening round of the year. And we are going to put ever so slightly more fuel as well into the car, just so we've got a bit that we can try and push with later on in the day. Lawson already seems to be kind of more aggressive on his fuel usage anyway, but we know obviously, yeah, this Renault power unit can do a pretty good job as well. There has Sonoda, he has got one set of completely fresh tyres as well there, although I don't think a scrub set is actually a bad way to start this thing. So we'll leave him on the scrub set, and then obviously go to the fresh set ready for this first stop. And Lawson is basically going to do the same strategy, but the other way around. I think we're ready. 212 Motorsports is back. Let's get into it. It's Bahrain Grand Prix time.
You're witnessing a new chapter in Formula One as 11 teams line up on the grid. And here's George Russell settling in for the race.
9th is a fairly good grid position. If they make the right calls, they could well score some points.
And it'll be exciting to see just what will happen here today. This is it. 22 cars on the grid. And it's lights out, and away we go.
Well, there we go then. Sonoda, hopefully he can try and get a pretty clean, tidy start down towards turn 1. Liam Lawson, well, we're hoping just that he can stay out of trouble as well. That we want to get through this opening lap, this opening weekend, really, without too many issues there, as everybody, Constantine, is up, down in towards the first corner. We'll make sure that the drivers can navigate their way through this opening sector before we kind of worry too much about, you know, tyres, what everybody else is doing as well here. As immediately, though, we're noticing Sonoda just dropping back slightly away from Alex Albon. He's actually, sorry, been jumped by Alex Albon off the start then, so he actually gained the place early on. But we're going to try and make sure that he goes aggressive at the start. Is he's already complaining about losing places early on in this GP there, but he's still in the Williams sandwich. Of course, DRS now enabled on lap 2. I don't believe it's as potent as we see on the F1, you know, sort of the normal F1 24 game. Obviously, we've seen far too many DRS trains. That's why I'm so excited to moving on to this title as well there. But yeah, Sonoda just trying to settle in. He's actually under some pressure from Logan Sargent as well on this opening lap there. Why is he not pushing harder? He's got the rich revs, so he should have enough speed down the straights there. But Williams really able to fire up their tyres early on then. In terms of strategy, Lawson as well losing places off the start of this race. So let's take a look then. I think it's just going to, again, be another slipstream pass there. So, I mean, Lawson just has nothing off of that corner. That Ferrari power unit is an absolute missile in a straight line. And I guess that's what you get. Best power unit versus worst inside F1 Manager 24. We just could do nothing there. But really, really important early on that we just kind of stay focused, stay in a good rhythm there. Top 3 all opted to start this race on the mediums. Then we got most drivers on the softs. Weirdly, yeah, Albon, sorry, is on the medium tyres as well. Then Lawson, obviously, on the mediums a bit further down. As DRS already enabled here as we start lap 2. As Lawson under a lot of pressure early on. Now it's Renault Power Unit versus Renault Power Unit here. As Sonoda loses the place to Hulkenberg as well. Back down towards turn 1. We have just got no straight line speed in the cars at the moment, as hopefully we're actually going to take a look at obviously what he's able to do. There we go. So Ocon's on mediums as well. As you can see, yeah, Lawson losing yet another place. So he's in the DRS though, he's in the wheel tracks. It is going to be really, really important that obviously we just stay out of trouble here early on. We just make sure that we don't actually overheat the engine as well. That might explain why we're struggling ever so slightly with temperatures. So we might try and get both drivers just to kind of sit out of the kind of the dirty air of the other cars, isn't it? So basically, obviously, then you know, they're not overheating that engine as badly. You know, it's where's the tactics? There we go. No, I keep clicking on all the wrong options. I'm just button mashing apparently. So we'll try and get them to drive in clear air early on. We'll see how that works for Yuki here early on. So yeah, he's still obviously up in P14 there. If he can just stay with Sargent and Albon here early on in the race. Like I said, I don't think points are really going to be viable or anything like that. These first couple of rounds are really just going to be about sort of learning the car, you know, learning kind of the strategies inside this year's game as well. And obviously just making sure that we get to the end in one piece there. As Verstappen and Norris already running away at the front of the field. So yeah, they've already got a 3-second gap over Sergio Perez. There is Norris, a power move down the inside of Verstappen down at turn 1. So the McLaren man will take the lead of the Grand Prix. We just caught that at the right time. Here goes Sonoda trying to have a look down the inside of Sargent back at turn 1. Not quite able to do enough there early on in this race. So we'll just start kind of settling in. We won't worry too much, you know, about these other cars. You know, like I said, engine management is really, really critical here, as Lawson is actually going to be able to make a move as well.
Here we head into turn 2. It's there for the taking.
Beautiful little dive bomb by Liam Lawson down the inside to get the car slowed down. We love to see it by Liam there, building up a little bit of confidence in the car. That's going to be really, really important early on in this season. But unfortunately, I think he's confined to battling it out with Ocon, Gasly, and Zhou Guanyu towards the rear of the field early on. But like I said, you know, he's on a slightly different strategy, so it's going to be about trying to make sure we carry on with him later on into the race there, as we just start to speed things up, though obviously trying to settle down into a rhythm. You know, time management is going to be really, really critical here, as we're bringing those engine temps down. We're actually doing a pretty good job, as Lawson, yeah, still just beefing it out of the rear of the field. Sonoda actually makes the move on Logan Sargent as well. So that's really good to see. Round the outside of the final corner? Surely not. And he's claimed the DRS as well. What a move. Yuki Tsunoda, you don't often see overtakes then. Never mind round the outside down at that final corner. And he's hyped. Yuki Tsunoda is hyped early on. It's important That, you know, we don't let him get into sort of into his own head too much early on. But yeah, we're managing those engine temperatures. You know, reliability, I think, is going to have to be a big focus early on in this first season. And we're actually doing a pretty good job at keeping Sergeant at bay. We've actually got inside the range. Oh, yellow flags. What's happened? What's happened? Yellow flags out. Sonoda makes the move on Albon. Hulkenberg went for a spin. Did he do the same as Sargent in qualifying? Yes, he has.
There it goes. And that won't do anything to help those tires.
See, I do like the fact on this game, kind of the AI mistakes sometimes seem more realistic there, as Haas, understandably not happy, and a wrecked set of the soft compound tyres there for Nico Hulkenberg, who is going to stay out. He's going to resume his action at that point there. So Ricciardo's kind of finding himself in a little bit of no man's land here. Yuki's actually doing a pretty good job, so we'll get him to deploy the battery just for one lap. Maybe we can get him out of the range of Alex Albon here, as the management on the car actually seems pretty good. Now he's settled in. So yeah, we'll try and get him to take... We don't really want to take too much out of the tyres, though, early on here. That could be really, really difficult. So there we go. Can we get Albon out of the DRS window? I think we have immediately. So that's really, really good then. You know, you've got to play those strategic battles inside this game. And yeah, Albon, he can't open up the DRS here, so we'll keep using Sonoda. Try and break him away a little bit further. Of course, you have got to be careful, though, as you will drain the charge pretty quickly here. You know, it's literally a lap that you can use the battery inside this game. We'll try and go in hot pursuit of Daniel Ricciardo as well. There is Ocon reporting a mechanical issue. What is going on down at Alpine? So, yeah, Esteban Ocon then struggling with reliability issues early on. And now, yeah, we'll just tuck back in with Sonoda as well. They're actually so close to the DRS range of Ricciardo. We may as well leave him trying to fight as best of the rest. So, yeah, yellow flags that again temporarily. I don't know what that is. Ocon. Oh, no, it's Miata. That's gone for a bit of a lock-up there as Lawson just kind of sat in still. We're kind of letting him play the long game here, battling it out with Zhou Guanyu. Of course, he is still on those medium tyres. So hopefully he's going to be able to see himself a bit further into the race. But yeah, we'll let Yuki kind of battle with Danny Rick. I'd be really happy if obviously VCarb's current and VCarb's former driver are kind of going to be able to pull away from the rest of the backmarkers here. And obviously, hopefully, we can try and do the same with Lawson a bit later on. Maybe if Stroll's struggling for pace, there's an opportunity to try and fight him for the final points-paying position as well. But you can see, yeah, we've got Yuki down in the comfortable engine temperatures. So that's really, really good early on in the afternoon. As he enters the pit window as well, I think we've probably got one, maybe two more laps on this set of tyres. We probably want to try and get, 16 laps on each set of softs. Then 25 on the mediums, if possible here. As you can just see, it drops back away from Ricciardo again. So I think Ricciardo is trying to push on a little bit more. Lawson now, hopefully, is going to be able to capitalise and get past Ocon at the final corner, as he's definitely still struggling to manage the engine temperatures as well as his teammate. Are we going to be able to see him get a run? He's got the DRS. Tyre temperature, the team are happy with as well after that little bit of a push earlier on. We're gonna try and build up some confidence in Liam Lawson. So we're gonna try and get him to go for an overtake here. We have got nothing to lose, so he's got to try and go for it. Actually, Ocon now back in the DRS of Miata in front. So yeah, I don't think that's really going to be viable at this stage of the race. Yellow's out again. So that might have been Zhou Guanyu that just had a little bit of a mistake. Magnussen runs wide down at turn 7.
And if we've watched Magnussen,
very odd place to run wide, but he has done it.
well, hopefully not a sign of things to come.
I think calling a yellow flag out for that seems a little bit strong inside this game. What is Lawson doing? Down the inside there, surely not. He's not going to go for the Fernando Alonso, is he? Couldn't quite pull it off. Yeah, he's really losing confidence, though. This is not good at the moment. As Sonoda then, he is about to start lap 16, so we're going to get him into the pit lane at the end of this lap. I know in this year's game you have actually now got the option to box one lap later, which is pretty cool. So obviously you get this lap or next lap. I wish you could kind of get like the alternate to the car in front, where for example, you could say, if Ricciardo pits, I won't. If Ricciardo doesn't pit, then I will inside this game. That would be really, really cool to see as well there. Is, yeah, we're going to see Sonoda then peel into the pit lane at the end of this lap. We could potentially start... What we're going to do is we're going to box him in. We'll obviously make sure that this first pit stop runs quite smoothly. We'll see if he's out in clear air, because what we might then do is really trying to get him to push, get the undercut on Ricciardo, who seems to be still taking a little bit of time out of Lance Stroll further up the road. Stroll is definitely, yeah, lacking, as Norris has actually opened up a gap. Come on, 2.8 is not bad, actually, we'll take that. So yeah, we'll get him to use a load of his battery off of this restart there, as Lawson's going to come out in front. You can just see having a battle with Esteban Ocon and Ritomo Miata as well. So yeah, it's time now to use some of that fuel. We'll try and make sure that we don't overheat the engine though too much. Yeah, I mean Lawson, yeah, is unfortunately just beefing it out with those Alpine cars. We've seen a couple of other drivers though into the pit lane as well. Zhou Guan Yu a little bit further back still. I wish we could just kind of get rid of some of these team radios, because they are kind of getting in the way as well. So yeah, Magnussen has pit, Miata has pit, and Hulkenberg has pit a little bit further down the order as well. But we're going to try and make sure that we stay with Yuki here and use up some of that extra fuel. You know, these laps are critical inside a race, especially when obviously we've got to try and make some moves as well. Get around some of these other cars. You can see that engine temperature is just slowly creeping up though, as Sargent and Bottas into the pits. So we're obviously going to gain those spots once again. Come on. Oh, we're going almost 3 wide back down towards someone. Are we going to see Yuki making a daring maneuver? Yes, we are. As Liam Lawson there's going to get Ricciardo zonted back down towards the first corner. A beautiful little double overtake, though, from Yuki Tsunoda, who makes the pass. He's got a couple of seconds up to Pierre Gasly, though, at the same time. So as one of our drivers gains 2 places, the other one, unfortunately, lose. And Sauber, they're realistic.
So it's Valtteri Bottas who's pitting.
Oh, that is such a Sauber stop. Such a Sauber pit stop inside this game. And yeah, Bottas left wondering what could have been this afternoon. Real shame for him. But yeah, not too disappointing for us, because of course it means that we've gained even more against what might be Liam Lawson's rivals towards the end of the afternoon, though. Tsunoda, though, immediately in hot pursuit of Pierre Gasly. I think once we get past him, we'll obviously try and just recover the battery a little bit, try and slowly recharge the pack, actually, as we make our way through the next few laps there. As you can see, he's tucked up in the wheel tracks. You can see there, yep, DRS pass, really, really simple for Yuki Tsunoda. So we'll get him just to go into top up. We'll still use a bit more of that fuel, just to obviously negate any disadvantage we lose. But I am going to start being a bit careful as we have got the jump on Ricciardo. That's really good then. So we've actually got quite an undercut, a big undercut on Daniel Ricciardo in this Grand Prix. We've got a 2-second margin now ahead of the VCARB car there. So that's really worked out nicely for us. It could mean that we are going to be the driver in hot pursuit of Lance Stroll. Maybe Ricciardo had a pit stop drama. Don't know if we can try and sort of find that out. Reports, events. I don't think we can really see anything that's going on with Ricciardo. Where is there? He is. So yeah, I don't think he's had any major concerns or anything like that. Let's have a look. Yeah, you can see. No, it was no, it was actually a decent pit stop for him. Must have been, yeah, pretty decent. He hasn't pit. Where's Daniel Ricciardo in all of this? He definitely has pit, but it's not showing up for some reason, which is a little bit peculiar. Oh no, there we go. It was actually a good pit stop. 2.7 seconds. So Ricciardo actually did pretty well there with that pit stop. But of course, obviously, he has gone a little bit longer than Yuki in this Grand Prix. I guess the next thing we're kind of waiting for is when we're going to see Lawson dive into the pit lane. Like I said, I want to try and get him ideally 25 laps into the GP there. And, you know, both drivers kind of now in a little bit of clear air. Tsunoda is going to make the move on Alex Albon, who peels into the pit lane as well then. So Lawson running up in the lofty heights of P13. Tsunoda is still just 6 seconds back behind Lance Stroll, who is also on a fresh set of the soft compound tyres. Ricciardo's opted for mediums, so it's important that we keep him kind of at bay here over the next few laps, so obviously he doesn't just claim the free slipstream off of us. The gap is floating kind of around that 2-second mark. But yeah, we'll just bring Yuki back into neutral territory then. So hopefully he's going to have at least the same pace as Daniel Ricciardo further behind. There is Charles Leclerc now to the front of the field. Is he not? He has pit. How has Leclerc done that then? Charles Leclerc absolutely flying here as Verstappen down to P4 in this race. So I can only assume that he and Lando got held up inside some slower traffic. So that's worked out really well for Ferrari here. And it looks like we have actually got a fight against the Red Bulls for the victory. Obviously Lawson now able to make that pit stop if he wants to. Like I said, we're going to try and get him, though, to lap 25. Hopefully a little bit of sacrifice now will hopefully benefit later on. As there we go. Yuki Tsunoda, he's inside the top 10. Alonso has boxed once again then, so not too sure whether he's pit twice already before Lawson's boxed at all. So Fernando Alonso on a 3-stop strategy down at Aston Martin, which is rather peculiar. We are going to tell Lawson to peel into the pit lane then at the end of this lap. Luckily, because he went out in Q1, he's actually got 2 fresh sets of the soft compound tyres, which should see him to the end of the GP. So we'll ride then with Liam Lawson, ready for his first ever Formula 1 pit stop here. And no, it's not, is it? Of course, he raced twice towards the end of last season as well there. I think he's still struggling overall for pace this afternoon, as, yeah, Yuki's still keeping Ricciardo at bay, running up in that final points-paying position. I would love a point to kickstart the year, but I do still think it might be quite optimistic. It is going to be very dependent on, obviously, what Fernando Alonso is going to be able to do on that 3-stop, whether we see any other strategy blunders, as Lawson is going to re-emerge, I think, down in, unfortunately, last place then in this Grand Prix. As Charles Leclerc, fastest lap again, as we make our way out of the pit lane then, so he's going to have to obey blue flags to Leclerc. It seems like the pace is ramping up between our front runners, though, so Verstappen in P4, also trying to do the same at the end of that lap. So, yeah, Tsunoda's still doing well. Lawson, I think, yeah, is going to have to, unfortunately, let all of those blue flags past him, which is a little bit of a shame here. But I think, yeah, you know, for him, we're just trying to get him through his first Grand Prix weekend and obviously get to the checkered flag clean and tidy in one piece there. Looks like Ricciardo is working those medium tyres hard. He's moved past Tsunoda, but he's going to really struggle, unless he's going double medium to the end of the afternoon there. He's going to really, really struggle to keep those in good nick. But yeah, we're kind of just settling in. We'll use a bit more push fuel on both drivers once again. Unfortunately, I hadn't realised that I'd left Lawson on deploy, so that's really, really important that I manage that a little bit more inside this game. I do think, though, on this year's title, you do slightly save energy if you're using deploy a little. If you're stuck in kind of neutral mode a bit more inside this game. So that's going to be really, really important. Obviously, just managing that over the course of this game there. I think what's going to be important for us is that we have still got Alonso out of the range by the time we make our second pit stop here, which should be actually coming up pretty soon.
Copy.
Pit window has just entered once again for Yuki Tsunoda. We can actually box him right now if we wanted to. So we've got yellow flags out for somebody else. You can just see, I think that's Logan Sargent, maybe? No, it's... I don't know who that is. I think it might have been one of the Alpines. No, it's Ritomo Miata again. He's made a lot of mistakes this afternoon.
And that certainly wouldn't have been in their plans today.
I mean, yeah, he really has kind of been thrust into a race seat as a bit of an unknown. But yeah, Miata struggling in this opening round of the campaign there. Tsunoda, we're going to get him to box pretty much now then. So we can try and use, obviously, those medium tyres to the end of the afternoon. They hung on pretty well for Liam. And Yuki, obviously, is having to do a slightly shorter run on that set. So I guess we may as well go full attack mode. Completely destroy that last little bit that is left on our current tyres. So we've stayed ahead of Alonso, though, who still obviously has got one more pit stop of his own to make. I think we're going to come out around Pierre Gasly here towards the end of the day. And yes, I am very conscious and nervous about having potential slow pit stops, so I'd like to manage it if we possibly can there, as Lawson just cooking the tyres slightly at this stage of the day. We'll bring him back into neutral mode, though, to make sure that we're using the charge that we need to there, as he's made the move on Miata once again. Then we kind of got a battle of the rookies here towards the end of the year, as Tsunoda almost out into... I think that's, yeah, Kevin Magnussen's gearbox here, so hopefully we're going to be able to get back past him nice and quickly as well. Their engine temps are slightly higher than I would like. But yeah, we need to try and get past Kevin ASAP, who I think he is also pushing on a little bit here as well. So I don't want to overwork the tyres early on, obviously, whilst they're still cold. I do want to try and keep Lando Norris at bay, if we can, just for a little while longer in this Grand Prix. Yeah, you can see Yuki really trying to work to get those tyres back up to scrub. We'll use a little bit more fuel then. We need to try and get inside that range of Magnussen, use that DRS out of the final corner there, which we should be able to. No, we're not. We're going to let Lando Norris by. That's really annoying them. So we've wasted all that battery in the process as well there. And it's just those little unlucky moments you get still on this game. Hopefully Magnussen is going to have to let the McLaren by as well at a pretty inopportune time. Magnussen, he's not getting out of the way just yet. But hopefully he will in the very near future. I mean, he's going to have to pit again before the end of the race. Yes, Tsunoda, one of the first drivers, actually. Him and Alonso and Rotoma Miata, the first drivers to make their... Well, Alonso hasn't even made his final pit stop yet. Why isn't Magnussen... I mean, Tsunoda's just keeping up with Lando Norris at the moment, so maybe he can try and use him Verstappen Monaco 2015 style, which he has done. He's now gained loads of time up to the back of that Haas car here, so hopefully he's going to be able to go for the deploy. Although, yeah, unfortunately, Magnussen has got the DRS as well, which is a little bit of a shame, but he is no match for our 212 Motorsports car. Down the inside will go. Beautiful. Move made. Done. Dusted. Settled. So now we've got to try and just focus on, you know, where is he going to re-emerge around the likes of Daniel Ricciardo and other drivers like that. Lawson's actually recovering pretty nicely here. I think his two-stop is working quite well, in which he took the sacrifice towards the start of the race. But yeah, now obviously we've got to try and make sure that Tsunoda is recharging. Ricciardo is way up the road, though. We have lost so much time to Danny Rick, who is trying to take soft tyres to the end. That's quite a brave call. But yeah, he's going to have quite a bit of track space in front of us. So I think Tsunoda might just be settling in then for the long run here towards the end of the race. I'm trying to get him to harvest some energy, but that doesn't seem to be happening particularly well. Lawson obviously still got his pit stop to make in a couple more laps as well here. So we're kind of just settling in. We're going to try and stick with Lando Norris as best as we can towards the end of the afternoon there. And yeah, just kind of work out what's going on with drivers at the front of the field. I think we are still going to end up a lap down with both drivers towards the end of the race. As Lawson... I mean, he's still got a bit of tyre life left, so we'll try next lap. We'll get him to sort of box on the next lap. It's a little bit weird, but it's the way we're going to try and do things here. So yeah, obviously we'll put him on that final... Damn it, I clicked this lap. Can I change that? I think I can. Wonderful. We'll confirm next lap. Sorry, Liam. Box next lap, please. Towards the end of the races. Yeah, Fernando Alonso has come back out ahead of us here towards the end of the day, which is a little bit of a shame. So I don't think any pit stop is going to help us out towards the end of the afternoon there. Lawson, yeah, really, really struggling still against some of the other back markers here. But I think Tsunoda, yeah, it's pretty much locked in towards the end of the afternoon there. We'll leave him in neutral. I think Yuki we're going to be able to see pretty much now to the checkered flag. Lawson is going to be the one we're going to have to manage towards the end of the afternoon there, as hopefully he's going to be able to stay ahead of Lando. No, it's not. He's going to let him out of the way there. Again, a little bit of an inopportune time. He lets the Ferrari by, though, so I guess he's letting both pass in one go. Haskell's just duking out behind us there. What's going on between those two? As Hulkenberg will try and make the move on Magnussen. I believe Hulk has made his final stop of the day. Yes, he has. So every driver behind Lawson has made his final pit stop, although, no, Magnussen as well will be able to go to the checkered flag. So, yeah, I mean, we should be able to still recover a little bit with Liam towards the end of the afternoon. Hopefully we're going to be able to gain some of these spots back towards the end of the day. Yuki still staggeringly is actually on the lead lap still of this race, but it's not lasting for very long, as Red Bull now have been able to move themselves right up towards the front of the order. Down the inside, Hulkenberg will go in towards the final corner as well. There is... Oh, he actually got pushed wide. What is that? Nico Hulkenberg there getting the elbows out. And unfortunately, yeah, we'll try and send that to the stewards. See if we can get a penalty for that one. But yeah, Lawson... Okay, Gasly now hasn't got the DRS though, but he's probably going to look for a move down the inside. Which, yeah, he will pull off then. So we'll dive into the pit lane at the end of this lap. He's actually done pretty well with time management throughout most of the afternoon. But you can just see, yeah, Tsunoda up in P12 there. One lap down, but he's still got quite the gap over Alex Albon in front there. So, yeah, Yuki, I think he's pretty safe towards the end of the day. Lawson, hopefully we're going to get one clean, tidy final pit stop under our belt, and maybe be ahead still of Ocon and Zhou Guanyu. I'd love to not finish last in this opening round of the year. He will get jumped by Ocon, who is still suffering with those issues. But yeah, 15 laps to the end of the Grand Prix now for Liam Lawson. He's still ahead of Zhou Guanyu, who has, I think, just made too many mistakes over the course of the race. We'll push him on the fresh set, try and get them up to temperature as quickly as possible. But looking at the intervals, I think we should be able to get Ocon at the very least. We might be able to get closer to Bottas. I think Miata, though, might be slightly too far up the road, which is a bit of a shame towards the end of the race there. But yeah, we will focus with Lawson right towards the end of the afternoon. Tyres are back up to temperature, which is good. He has got a tiny bit of extra fuel still, which we can use towards the end of the day. But yeah, we're basically just managing to see that gap to Ocon hopefully coming down over these final few laps. There is Sargent. I forgot about him still having to peel into the pit lane as well. So he might be another that we can try and get the jump on before the end of the afternoon. As here we go, Lawson now tucked up in the wheel tracks of Esteban Ocon. He's not tucked up in the wheel tracks. He's actually going to try and look for a move. Oh, a little bit scary at the top of the hill there. We're getting to just use a little bit of deploy. Make sure that we get that move done on the Frenchman there. But this is really good for Liam Lawson as well. He's still not building up much confidence early on. But if he can just make some overtakes towards the end of the afternoon, if we tell him to make the overtake as well, and he pulls it off, then hopefully that is going to really help him out. I've just realised I've left Yuki on trying to fight driving clear out all afternoon. So maybe that's what's cost us a little bit in terms of some of the other drivers. Lawson, though, making that move on Esteban Ocon as well there. So he's got 5 seconds to try and catch back up to the next car up the road. And it was a good little move. In fact, you know what? We'll watch it again. It was that good. Little Fernando Alonso style dive bomb there down the inside. Get the power down on the exit. And I mean, we absolutely left Esteban Ocon, who admittedly is struggling with reliability in the dust there as well, which is really, really good as we get towards the end of the day. Are we going to be able to go quicker than Logan Sargent? He is obviously on those fresh tyres right towards the end of this one. I'm not convinced we're going to be able to have the pace to try and get to him by the end of the afternoon there. We'll make sure he's just using all his spare fuel, though. Got to give ourselves every fighting chance we possibly can by the end of the afternoon. But yeah, ultimately, I don't think he's really got the pace here to fight for the win. Verstappen, though, 7 seconds clear of Charles Leclerc. That gap is still coming down, though, towards the end of the race. Oh, I've accidentally taken Liam slightly under the fuel usage, so got to be careful with that and make sure we bring it back to neutral, which we will. But yeah, things have really calmed down towards the end. Actually, Tsunoda has actually been jumped by Alex Albon, rather weirdly, which is a bit of a shame then. So I don't think Tsunoda has ultimately got the pace towards the end of the race. You know what? We'll try and get him to attack, though. We don't want to get beaten by Williams in the opening round of the year there as well. So we'll try and see if Tsunoda can close back in that gap on Alex Albon here, which he has done almost immediately then. So we have actually got a bit of a fight on our hands, as Lawson now will get past Valtteri Bottas, who I think has made a mistake as well. So it's been an interesting first round of the year, but interesting is good. We've learnt a lot still, obviously, about the car, about the team, and obviously Jeddah. I feel like Jeddah might be a bit more of a struggle for us next time around, though, as here we go, back down the inside for Yuki. We'd love to see it then back up and into that P12 position there. I think 12th place to kickstart the year is not a bad run here in the opening round of the year, as Lawson, yeah, he's just in no man's land. So Tsunoda, it is going to be about managing that gap to Alex Albon towards the end of the afternoon. I would have thought we're going to see Albon try and make a move again on our teammate back down towards someone, though, but we are trying to use up all of our rich revs that we've got remaining here. Tsunoda defending for all his might. They actually do make a tiny bit of contact down to that first corner, but Albon unable to pull off the move there. Up towards the top of the hill, though, again, he will have a look down the inside of Yuki Tsunoda, as I think we've got one more lap to go after this one. So we will continue to try and top up. We will bring it back down to standard, just cool down those tyres. I don't think we need to worry about the engine, though, at this stage of the race. So that's okay then. Here is Lawson. What is... I can't click on what Lawson's doing. There seems to still be a little bit of a UI bug with that inside this game there. As Sargent, yeah, he's too far up the road. I mean, beating out both Saubers and an Alpine, though, is not bad going in your debut Formula 1 race as well. But yeah, we're going to wait Yuki into the final lap then of the Grand Prix, which Max Verstappen has now just started. Nice that we get a little bit of a fight on our hands here to finish off the race then as we make our way in towards the penultimate corner of the penultimate lap. It has been a big Bahrain Grand Prix. Verstappen, it looks like he's still going to take the win, but Ferrari and McLaren have both been able to lead, you know, chunks of this race as well then. Yuki Tsunoda, your time is now. Get on with it. Deploy mode, we got very little in the battery though, but we're going to try and use all of those reserves out of the final corner here to slingshot that bit closer to Alex Albon. You can see we're gaining on the Williams. Is he going to go defensive in towards turn 1? He's going to try and have a look for it. Tsunoda around the outside though at the first corner. Surely not. Down at turn 1 there again. He's going to have to try and use the battery on the exit. So we're going to tell him to go high attack, high defense mode as well, if he is able to complete the maneuver. As are we going to be able to have a look down the inside? Tsunoda can't quite pull it off at the top of the hill there, so that's a little bit of a shame. He's going to have to try and sit in behind still as we make our way down in towards Sector 2. So he's getting a little bit frustrated on the radio. So yeah, come on Yuki, you got to get on with it. We'll use the attack mode on the tyres. We'll take everything we've got out of it on this final lap of the Grand Prix there. Lawson now starting his final lap of the race as well. But Max Verstappen, he is going to cross the checkered flag to win here in Sakhir. Lawson is going to come through for P19. Are we going to see Tsunoda just get that a little bit closer? He's actually dropping away. He's got nothing against Alex Albon towards the end of the race there, so I think we use the deploy just a little bit too early on in the lap there, and it was a good strategy balance and battle with a Williams there, but unfortunately, I think they've just about been able to do a better job towards the end of the race there. Charles Leclerc P2 ahead of Lando Norris in P3 there. The second Ferrari of Carlos Sainz in 4th, beating out Perez and Oscar Piastri there. Hamilton and Mercedes really lack the ultimate pace. Stroll gets the better of Fernando Alonso because he was completely screwed over on strategy. But Yuki Tsunoda, it was 13th on the grid. It is 13th come the checkered flag. I think we can be pretty happy with that. We should have got P12 ahead of Alex Albon, but just lacked the ultimate management prowess that we needed towards the end of the GP there. But there we go. We have survived the opening round here in Bahrain, and not a bad result either there. To be in the fight, you know, closer to the points, I think is really, really good going.
Yuki Tsunoda makes his way back after the events of that race.
And with a 13th place finish, that sadly means there's no points to be claimed.
Well, Max Verstappen can add yet another podium to his already impressive record.
Their first win of the season, and the team looking on will be very proud, I'm sure.
And we've certainly kicked things off in style here at the Bahrain Grand Prix. Well, Karun, how do you think they'll be feeling in the team garage at the end of that?
Well, it was a bit of a mixed bag here. Some things went their way, but others didn't. I think their main target now will be finding some consistency for sure.
That is about that for this weekend's action here in Bahrain.
In the next round, we head to the shores of the Red Sea as Formula One returns to Jeddah for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix.
Well, there we are then. The end of the season opener from Bahrain. It might not quite been the result I'm sure neutral fans would have wanted there. Verstappen taking yet another victory. But yeah, Ferrari and McLaren seemingly able to fight this season there. Charles Leclerc gained 4 places, so Ferrari actually did a really, really good strategy with him to beat out Lando Norris and Sainz there at the end of the afternoon. Perez in 5th ahead of Piastri, like we said, with both Mercedes and both Aston Martins rounding out the top 10 there. Ricciardo, best of the rest, ahead of Albon and Tsunoda. Lawson, yeah, was a little bit unlucky towards the end. I would have liked for him to stay only 1 lap down come the flag, but ultimately, yeah, I think his strategy didn't quite allow him to push in the way he wanted to, and, you know, he's learning the car, he's learning the team, everything like that as well. Obviously, that means Drivers' Championship exactly the same as the race results. Lando Norris did pick up that bonus point, though, and Constructors-wise, Red Bull with a 5-point lead over Ferrari. McLaren in P3 there, just 6 points further back as well. I believe we also get to have a look at how well we did in terms of pit stops. So it was Alex Albon that had the fastest pit stop of the day. Lawson, 7th fastest, though. I'm pretty happy with that. So we're better than McLaren, Red Bull, and Racing Bulls in terms of our pit stops there. So, yeah, really, really happy with that. Fastest pit stop, obviously Williams leading the way in that championship. We are in 6th place, though, with Mercedes down in 11th. So, really not ideal for them. And taking a look at the overall report for that, yeah, we can see Tsunoda's pit stops weren't actually that great. Both of them slower than both of Liam Lawson's as well there. But we get a few bonuses as well. Obviously, like I said, I like to set those targets quite low to make sure we get the cash in the bank early on inside the game as well there. But as we make our way back to the garage as well, you can see the construction for the team hub has been complete as well. Thank you all so much for watching. Like I said, this first video is probably a whole lot longer than most of the ones you're going to see in this series. But yeah, we'll be back tomorrow exclusively on Matt212 Plays, ready for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix.